People say every family has a favorite child, but in my house, the favorite child wasn't a person, it was power. And I learned that the hard way. My name is Elena Hayes, and for 22 years, I wasn't treated like a daughter, I wasn't treated like a sister. I was treated like a housemaid they never had to pay. Not because we were poor, but because my family believed something far uglier. Elena owes us. No one ever told me what I owed. No one ever told me why. They just expected obedience. Silence. Sacrifice. And I gave it all. Until the day I stopped. Until the day the mansion they were living in. The mansion I scrubbed, cleaned, cooked in. Became mine. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the beginning. I was 10 years old when it started. My mom, well, the woman I thought was my mom, woke me up by yanking the blanket off my body. Elena. Get up. Guests will be here in 2 hours. What are you doing still sleeping? I blinked, still half asleep. Mom, it's Sunday. So? Is that an excuse to be lazy? I wasn't lazy, I was a child. But in that house, being a child wasn't allowed. She shoved a list into my hands. A long one. Clean the living room, dust the shelves, wash the dishes, help in the kitchen, set the table, mop the hallway, all before breakfast. I looked at my brother, Daniel, who was sitting on the couch eating cereal. He was older by 3 years. Tall, pampered, loved. Does he get a list too? I asked. My mother's eyes narrowed like I'd insulted God. He's a boy, he needs to focus on school. You should help your family instead of complaining. It was the first time she said it. You owe us. I didn't understand it then. But that sentence would be repeated. Over and over and over. For the next decade. I cooked, I cleaned, I did laundry, I ironed their clothes, I served food, I washed dishes, I mopped floors, I packed my brother's lunch, I did his homework sometimes. Not because I wanted to. But because saying no meant punishment. If my brother got in trouble at school, I was punished. If a guest didn't like the food, I was screamed at. If my father came home angry from work, I became the punching bag for his frustration. Not physically, but with words sharp enough to leave scars. Elena, why can't you do anything right? Elena, you're lucky we kept you. Elena, don't embarrass this family. Lucky. That word hit different. Because as I grew older, I began to notice something. I didn't look like them. Not my hair. Not my eyes. Not my bone structure. And definitely not the way they treated me. But every time I asked questions, they shut me down. You owe us. Stop asking stupid things. We gave you a home. You should be grateful. Grateful. For what? For being the unpaid servant of my own family? I was 18. My senior year. The year I dreamed of getting into college. And finally, escaping. A letter arrived. I still remember the envelope. Thick. White. With a golden crest. Full scholarship. Business administration. Top university. My chance at freedom ****. When I opened it, I felt something explode inside my chest. Hope. But hope doesn't survive long in toxic homes. My father snatched the letter from my hands. What's this? A scholarship, I said, smiling. I got in. Everything's paid for. Before I could finish, he ripped the letter in half. Then in quarters. Then into tiny pieces. Right in front of me. You're not going anywhere. I stared at him, my heart sinking. But, it's my future. He stepped closer. His voice cold enough to freeze bone. Your future is here. With your family. Serving this home. Doing what you owe us. I felt something break inside me. It wasn't my dream. It was my obedience. That night, I cried silently while washing dishes. My brother walked past me and smirked. "Come on, Elena," he said. "Don't be dramatic. You act like you're important or something." Important. I wasn't important. Not to them. And for the first time in my life, I accepted it. Not as defeat, but as clarity. I didn't find out by accident. Fate handed it to me. A month after the scholarship incident, I was cleaning my father's study. The only room I wasn't allowed to touch. But he spilled whiskey on the carpet and summoned me. While moving a drawer, a folder fell. A birth certificate. Not mine. Then another. Mine. But the names were different. Biological mother. Unknown. Guardian. William Hayes, my father. Guardian. Not parent. My breath caught. I wasn't theirs. I wasn't unlovable. I wasn't unwanted. I wasn't a burden. I simply wasn't theirs. And suddenly every insult, every chore, every time they said, "You owe us," made perfect, heartbreaking sense. They didn't raise me out of love. They raised me out of convenience. An unpaid maid in the body of a child. I stared at the documents, my hands shaking. And then I saw something else. A contract. A will. A property deed. For a mansion. A huge estate outside the city. Worth millions. And the owner's name? Elena Hayes. Me. I wasn't just not theirs. I was the heir to something they desperately wanted. And that's why they kept me obedient. Silent. Blind. Because servants don't question ownership. And daughters don't steal houses from families. But I wasn't their daughter. And that mansion was about to become my revenge. After finding the documents, the deed, the will, my birth certificate, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even confront them. Something inside me had shifted. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel afraid of leaving them behind. I felt afraid of staying. So at 3 a.m., while the house slept like a beast tired from cruelty, I packed the only things that were truly mine. 2 shirts. A pair of jeans. My notebook. And the folder that held the truth of who I was. When I stepped out of that house, I expected to feel guilt. But all I felt was freedom. The cold night air hit my face like a rebirth. For 22 years, I had breathed their rules. Their orders. Their insults. Now I was breathing for myself. My plan wasn't just to leave. My plan was to make sure they had no idea where I went. Because people who think a person owes them panic when they lose control. I went to a women's shelter. Not because I wanted pity, but because I needed time. A roof. Safety. Silence. And silence is where revenge grows best. I spent 2 weeks reading the documents over and over. The mansion was real. The ownership was real. The lawyers involved were real. My biological mother had died years ago. And left everything, to me. And my family had kept it hidden. So they could enjoy the money. While keeping me as their maid. But here's the thing about legal documents. They don't care about emotions. They care about proof. And I had it. I found his name in the will. Richard Avery. I called. He answered on the first ring. "Elena," he said. His voice trembling with disbelief. I'd been waiting for this call for years. I went to his office the same day. He was older now. Hair white. Eyes tired but kind. He looked at me like someone looks at a ghost. They thought they'd never see again. I knew your mother, he said softly. She loved you. More than anything. My chest tightened. I didn't remember her. But hearing those words felt like healing. She chose you, he continued. She left you everything. And your guardians, they kept you hidden. He didn't have to say more. I already knew. What do I do now? I asked. He leaned back in his chair, folded his hands, and gave me a smile so sharp. It felt like the beginning of vengeance. You take back what's yours. Avery filed the papers the same day. Transfer of possession. Claim of inheritance. Violation of guardianship. Mishandling of assets. Unlawful withholding of property. In simpler terms, I was about to take the mansion from under their feet, while they still believed I was mopping their floors. A court date was set. They were served. And in that moment, hell broke loose in the Hayes household. My father called non-stop. 40 missed calls. Then 80. Then 120. I didn't answer once. My mother texted. Elena, what have you done? Come home immediately. You owe us after everything we've done for you. We raised you. We fed you. The last one made me laugh and cry at the same time. They didn't feed me. They used me. My brother finally texted. You think you're better than us? You're nothing without us. Funny. Because for the first time, I was becoming everything without them. The courtroom felt colder than any place I'd ever been. But I walked in like I belonged there. For the first time in my life, I wore clothes that were clean. Chosen by me. Fitting my body, not my family's expectations. My father glared when he saw me. My mother gasped. My brother whispered something under his breath. But the moment that gave me power was when they saw the lawyer next to me. They realized I wasn't a scared servant anymore. I was an heir. A legal owner. A threat. My father rose from his seat. Elena, what are you doing? Come sit with your family. I looked him dead in the eyes. I'm exactly where I belong. The judge entered. Everyone sat. What happened next was better than any revenge movie. Avery laid everything out. How they hid my inheritance. How they exploited me. How they broke guardianship laws. How they misused estate funds. How they treated me as unpaid labor. How they kept me from education. How they profited from property that wasn't theirs. By the time he finished, my mother was crying. My father's face was gray. My brother looked ready to explode. The judge asked me one question. Miss Hayes, do you wish to claim full ownership of the mansion and assets left by your mother? I looked at my family. Their fear was delicious. Yes, I said. My voice strong. Unshaking. Alive. I claim everything that belongs to me. The judge ruled in my favor. Just like that. The mansion. The land. The accounts. The investments. All mine. Legally. Fully. My father was ordered to vacate the mansion. Within 14 days. My mother fainted. My brother cursed loud enough. That security walked in. But I didn't smile. Not yet. Real revenge isn't loud. It's silent. Sharp. Inevitable. 2 weeks later, I stood at the gates of the estate. My mother had left me. It was bigger than I imagined. Stone pillars. Ivy-covered walls. Huge windows that caught sunlight. Like they were designed to hold hope. The guards opened the gate. As soon as they saw the papers. Inside, movers were carrying out my family's things. My father argued. My mother sobbed. My brother shouted threats. I didn't look at them. Not because I was heartless, but because their pain was the punishment they earned. I stepped inside the mansion. For the first time. Not as a servant, but as the owner. The floors I once scrubbed on my knees shined beneath my feet, like they were welcoming me home. I walked into the main hall and placed my hand on the banister. "Mom," I whispered. "I made it." They stopped me outside the gate. My father grabbed my arm. "Elena. Please. Don't do this. We're your family." Family. That word again. But this time. It didn't hurt. It didn't control me. It meant nothing. I pulled my arm away. "You didn't treat me like family. So you don't get to call yourself that now." My mother fell to her knees. "We raised you. You used me," I said. My brother spat. "You think you're some queen now?" I looked him straight in the eyes. "No. I think I'm finally free." I turned around and walked back into the mansion. As the gates closed behind me, their screams faded. Their control ended. And my life finally began. I didn't stop there. I went to college. On my own terms. With my own money. No apologies. I built a business. A big one. A successful one. A respected one. The world didn't know my past. They just saw my strength. And you know what the wildest part is? One day, my brother applied for a job. At my company. He didn't know it was mine. He sat in the waiting room while my employees briefed me. "Elena, we have an applicant. With your last name? Should we send him away?" I smiled. "No. Let him wait." For 2 hours. He sat outside my office while I signed papers. In the mansion he once lived in. That was the sweetest revenge. Not ruining their lives. Not humiliating them. But becoming the woman they never believed I could be. I was once a servant. In a house that never loved me. Now I'm the woman who owns the house. And the life my family tried to bury. I don't owe them anything. Not forgiveness. Not closure. Not love. Not hate. I only owe myself. The life I'm living now. A life with dignity. Freedom. And power. Power I earned. Not by taking from others. But by finally giving back to myself.